All right, welcome to another edition of the Rundown. We had a packed week 7 of football, and honestly, before this week, I didn't think this game would be the headliner, but here we are. I want to talk about Giants and Broncos. Broncos won 33 to 32, and honestly, this is one of the more craziest regular season games I've ever seen in my life. For the most part, I thought the Broncos would have a good chance to come back and beat the Giants, but when the Giants went up 26 to 8, I was thinking, yeah, this game is donezo. It's pretty much over. And even on that touchdown where the Giants went up 26 to 8, it's third and 17, and Jackson Dart drops back, throws, the pass gets tipped, and somehow it ends up in Theo Jackson's hands, and he's able to take it to the house. And I'm just thinking, okay, God just wants the New York Giants to win today. It is just not the Broncos' day. I don't know, maybe after traveling back from London and having a tough game against the Jets, they're just lethargic and just their heart is just not in it. But the Tides, they started to turn. It's 26-16 with about 4 minutes and 56 seconds left. Giants had the ball. Jackson Dart throws a horrible interception to Justin Strnad, and I guess he simply didn't see him because it was just what it looks like a bad interception, and I guess he just didn't see him lurking. Broncos come down, they get a touchdown, and all of a sudden it's 23-26. Giants get the ball back, and they could have easily ended the game there with a touchdown, but instead they go 3-and-out. Jackson Dart on a 3rd and 8 overthrows Wan'Dale Robinson, and if he hits Wan'Dale Robinson, who knows? Maybe they'd be able to win the game, but that's just not how things turned out to be. And Broncos come down, get a touchdown, and it's 30-26. And 151, the Giants get the ball, and I'm thinking, okay, game-winning drive. And this is actually when I really, really thought that God was on their side. Jackson Dart, he almost throws a pick into double coverage. And then on a 4th and 19, he completes it to Wan'Dale Robinson. I mean, completing a pass on 4th and 19 is crazy. I mean, a lot of teams can't complete anything on 4th and 3, and I don't know what the stats are on completing on like 4th and 15 or more, but I can't imagine it's very good. So for him to be able to do that as a rookie is pretty damn impressive. They get a touchdown with 37 seconds left off a dart run. Unfortunately, the kicker missed the extra points, so instead of being up 33 to 30, they're up 32 to 30, and that kicker was absolutely awful. I'll talk more about him later. Bo Nix comes down, gets a field goal, and on that drive, he throws a great 29-yard pass to Marvin Mims that helped them get into field goal range. And the rest is history. They went 33 to 32, and the Giants kicker Judd McAtemany, I don't know if I'm saying his name right. I apologize if I'm not, but he was awful. He missed the extra point at the end. He also missed the extra point on their second touchdown, and because he missed the extra point on the second touchdown, the Giants had to go for two. On the third touchdown just to make up for the fact that he missed the extra point. So he basically cost them 3 extra points. And if he's able to like hit the 2 extra points, you're up 34 to 30, or maybe you're up 35 to 30. And the Broncos don't have any timeouts. So with 30 seconds left, it's going to be pretty hard for them to get a touchdown, and you practically win the game. But that's not what happened. And I hate it when kickers are the reason why teams lose football games. I'm more open to players making mistakes and stuff because they have a lot on their plate, especially like quarterbacks and wide receivers and whatnot. And kickers, you only have one job. You're practicing one thing the entire week. And if you're not able to make your kicks, then you just shouldn't be part of a team because those 2-3 points matter a lot in the NFL where the margins are so small. And this is what happens when your kicker Graham Gano goes out, and Brian Daboll, he's going to have to find somebody else because this guy, I mean, he's not cutting it so far. The Niners let go of Jake Moody after he had his struggles, and I think Brian Daboll is going to have to look elsewhere until Graham Gano starts to feel better and he can get out on the field. I know Jackson Dart threw that interception, and a lot of people will pinpoint that, and it was a bad interception. And Jackson Dart didn't have the greatest stat line. He was 15 of 33, 283 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. But honestly, he's a rookie, and for him to perform against that vaunted Broncos defense is pretty damn impressive. Of course, it's a tough loss, and it would have looked better for Daboll if they were able to win that game and perhaps maybe save his job, although I think he's probably saving his job right now based on how Jackson Dart looks. And it looks especially bad when at the end Brian Burns is like going into the locker room and complaining about how they're dropping 8 and they're only rushing 3 at one of the plays at the end, and Bo Nix practically ate that up. But again, Jackson Dart is showing that he's the guy, so this loss isn't the worst thing in the world, and he's proving as of now that he's the best quarterback in that class for sure. And considering he was taken in the 20s is pretty good. I mean, Cam Ward's story isn't written off as of yet. I still believe Cam Ward has a lot of potential, but right now it's looking like Jackson Dart is definitely the best quarterback in that class for sure. And on the other side, I want to give credit to Bo Nix. He was 27 of 50, 279 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And I got to give him a lot of credit. He's tough. He can have up and down games, and he's had quite a few games where he's just been like up and downs, and he hasn't just been sharp down the field. He still doesn't have great touch on that yet. But when it's nut crunching time, he shows up. And that's what you want to see in quarterbacks. When it's an important, crucial drive and you need one to help you win a game, that's what you want to see out of a franchise quarterback. And that is actually what defines a franchise quarterback when it comes to like game winning drives and when it comes to getting it done when you need it the most. Can you make things happen? Can you make plays? And Bo Nix is showing that he's a playmaker. He has a good arm. He's pretty accurate in the intermediate stuff. He has legs. So I think that he's definitely a franchise quarterback, and he still has some room left to grow for sure. And the Giants, they face the Eagles next week. We'll see how that goes. They beat them 34-17 on Thursday Night Football. We'll see how that goes. The Broncos, they're 5-2, and they have a pretty good command on the division so far, with the Chiefs being 4-3 and the Chargers being 4-3. And if they can continue rising, they have a good shot. But honestly, even if the Broncos fall off a little bit here and there, I still think that they have a pretty good shot of making the playoffs as a wild card, because the Chargers are a little bit concerning me, but I'll talk more about them a little bit later. I want to go to Minnesota and Philadelphia. Not Minnesota. Philadelphia wins 28-22. And first of all, I just got to give Philadelphia their credit. A, I was dead wrong about them losing the game. B, I was dead wrong about Jalen Hurts struggling against Brian Flores' defense with zone and whatnot. I've been harping on Jalen Hurts and that Philadelphia Eagles offense to just have a good passing game, and they were able to do it this game. Jalen Hurts was 19 for 23, 326 yards, and they didn't run the ball particularly well, only 18 carries for 44 yards with Saquon Barkley, but I'm glad that they didn't go completely away from it, even though Saquon Barkley wasn't exactly lighting it up. Carson Wentz, on the other hand, I thought that Carson Wentz would be able to lead them to victory, but he was kind of bad. I mean, he has a decent stat line, 26 for 42, 313 yards. Now, the 2 interceptions, that's just woof. And he just had quite a few brain farts in the game, which is kind of surprising for a veteran quarterback. And I thought that after backing up Matt Stafford, Patrick Mahomes, being under Sean McVay and Andy Reid, two of the more smartest offensive coaches in the leagues, that he will be better as a quarterback. But I guess evidently he just hasn't learned his lesson yet. And one of the plays that I want to talk about, it's the second quarter, 13 minutes and 31 seconds left. They're on their own 40-yard line. He gets hit and throws a pick six. Not smart, but I could excuse that if he didn't get the ball back then soon later. It's 1st and 19. He throws it backwards, so now it's 2nd and 25. And then on that play, he's just running around trying to make something happen. And then boom, he throws a pick into double coverage. And that's just another idiotic play by him. But it just didn't end there. Luckily, the Eagles punted when he threw that second pick, so it didn't affect them too much. But it's the third quarter. It's 14-6. It's 2nd and 8 at the Philadelphia 9. You have a good chance of cutting this lead to 1. I don't know if Kevin O'Connell would have gone for 2 or not, but at the very least, you have a chance to cut the lead to 2. And he misses C.J. Ham wide open, who would have gotten a first down or a touchdown. And he just throws it away standing in the pocket, and it's intentional grounding, so they got to settle for a field goal. And there were so many times when Minnesota was in the red zone and they just couldn't get into the end zone whatsoever. And I know that for head coach Kevin O'Connell, that's got to be annoying because Kevin O'Connell takes a lot of pride as an offensive coach for being able to get into the end zone. And Justin Jefferson, by his standards, dropped a touchdown pass, and that's just not something what Justin Jefferson does. He's considered by a lot of people the best wide receiver in the league, so that was unfortunate. Still, despite all that, it looked like at the end when it was 28-19, they had a chance to win. But unfortunately, TJ Hawkinson, he drops a. Well, I can't say he dropped, but he has to make a hard catch in the end zone. Unfortunately, he's not able to control the ball well. I mean, it looked like a catch to me, but according to the refs, I mean, he in New York, he didn't survive the ground, so they had to settle for a field goal, and it's 28-22, and the Eagles, they get the ball back. Um, and Jalen Hurts, he came up clutch. On a 3rd and 9, he's getting blitzed, and he just throws it up to A.J. Brown. And that play helped them a lot because they're able to run the clock out and win the game. And he made a lot of deep, explosive plays. And I talked earlier about how we'll see if whether or not that meeting with offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo is going to work or not, or if anything is going to come of it. Well, it looked like it was actually pretty productive because Jalen Hurts was throwing the ball all over the field, whether it was to Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown, finally utilizing your top two highest paid wide receivers. And I was also harping on the fact that they're just not able to score in the second half. Well, they were able to score in the second half, 14 in the first half, 14 in the second half. And I was thinking, even when Minnesota was down, I was thinking they have a chance to win it because Philly offense in the second half just can't seem to do anything. But, excuse me. But they were able to do something, and it looks like things are finally starting to click. Now, I thought that after the Rams game in the second half that things would click. They went on a little bit of a lull after that, but I think that this win, especially with them looking good from start to finish, this is something that they can carry over for sure. And their next 3 games, they got the Giants. Excuse me, 4 games. They got the Giants, Packers, Lions, and Cowboys. Kind of a tough stretch, but I think that this can be a good win that can carry them forward. All of those teams are kind of a tough out, but I can easily see them going 2-2 during that stretch. And honestly, if they go 2-2 during that stretch, it's not the worst thing in the world because I still think that they have a shot of winning the division because no one else in their division has a chance of really catching them. Honestly, I'll talk more about Washington later. Minnesota, tough loss for them. I was thinking that maybe you should just start Carson Wentz because he's the more experienced guy and you just have a better team. But after this game, I'm just going to have to go, hell no. You should start J.J. McCarthy when he starts to get healthy, which I think should be in like 2 to 3 weeks. This game was just horrible by Wentz. I can get past like the one interception, but the other one and the brain farts and him throwing the ball backwards and him missing CJ Ham wide open that would have gotten them points and him having intentional grounding, I just can't get past that. So once JJ McCarthy comes back, you got to start him. This is a tough division. I just don't simply see Minnesota winning this division. The Lions are better than them. Green Bay, even though they're not exactly looking like world beaters, I still think that they're better than them. And I think that this year they probably need to take a long-term view and see what JJ McCarthy has. And I hope that the next 7, 8 games or whatever until the regular season, he's able to start all of them and you can see what he has and whether he's able to make any improvement or not. Because right now, JJ McCarthy is kind of going on the Anthony Richardson and Trey Lance track where he's just not playing a lot. He's really injury prone and he looks a little bit raw. I mean, unlike those guys, he played definitely more in college than Anthony Richardson and Trey Lance did. So he has to get better for sure, but you just got to see what you have with him this season. And if you feel like you don't have anything with him this season, then maybe it's the time to cut bait and see what other quarterbacks are out there in the market. Now I want to talk about Washington and Dallas. Dallas put the spanking on them. They won 44-22. And this is just a horrible loss for Washington, and this is going to have some long-term ramifications. But first, I want to give credit to Dallas. Dak really balled out, 21 for 30, 264 yards, still killing it offensively. And with CD coming back. He looked like 2011 Aaron Rodgers the year after he won the Super Bowl. And passing wise, they were doing it. And Javante Williams also ran the ball really, really well. 19 carries for 116 yards. And I said before the game that if Washington spots Dallas 10 points, 13 points, it's going to be really hard for them to come back because Dallas is just such a lethal team offensively. But they got the safety early in the first, and then they're able to take an 8-7 lead. And I'm thinking, okay, Washington has a shot to make this a game. But honestly, at the end of the second quarter, that's when things simply just started to fall apart and things just started going downhill. 45 seconds left in the half. Dallas has the ball and they're up 20-15. And I'm just thinking, okay, Washington, all you got to do is hold him to a stop. At worst, maybe they get a field goal. You get the ball in the third quarter, and you can make this a game. It's going to be a shootout, but you can absolutely win it. But Washington is not able to hold the points because Dak Prescott, he just throws a bomb and they're able to get a touchdown, and then they get the ball back. Washington does in the third quarter. Jaden Daniels fumbles, and when he gets tackled, he injures his hamstring, and after that, that was all she wrote, and everything started to fall apart for Washington thereafter. And I'm out on Washington with Jaden Daniels being injured and the receivers being injured. This just looks like the year from hell for them. Jaden Daniels was already out with a knee sprain. I said that if Washington lost this game, it wouldn't be the end of the world. Evidently, I was wrong. With Jaden Daniels being injured and their wide receivers just not being healthy, they just don't have a shot of winning this division whatsoever, and I don't think they have a shot of making the playoffs, and it's just not in the cards for them. I went a step further preseason where I thought that they could make the Super Bowl, but evidently I was dead wrong about that, and I just have to cut my losses. Philly isn't so bad where they're going to fall off a cliff, but I just think Philadelphia is going to be able to hold like a good lead over Washington and Dallas, but especially Washington. And I don't know if Jaden Daniels is going to come back to play or not, but it just looks like he's injury prone this season at the very least. So sucks for Washington. I thought that they would make kind of like another improvement this year and Jaden Daniels would take another step. It's not exactly his fault with the receivers being out and just him having the injuries, but it's just not in it for Washington this year. Now I want to talk about Atlanta and San Francisco. San Francisco won 20-10, and this was kind of a slog of a game, a little bit grimy, but kudos to San Francisco for getting it done. And this was just a solid win by them. They got George Kittle back, and he didn't do much other than blocking. Really, he had zero receptions for 0 yards, and they talked about it on the broadcast how George Kittle is just looking to go out there and just do some exercise. And it just makes sense for him to go out there and just get his legs underneath him after recovering from a hamstring injury where I assume he really didn't have much practice time. So it's good to just practice, this week and just get out in the game and just get your legs underneath you. And in the next games, you can be more prepared. And again, Mac Jones started. Kudos to him. He didn't have like an exceptional game, 17 for 26 for 152 yards, but he was solid other than that one interception, didn't make too many mistakes, got the ball out of his hands, and he obviously had Christian McCaffrey who helped him. He had 24 runs for 129 yards. They both kept the offense grooving and moving, and he didn't need to do much, and their defense was able to hold Atlanta to points, so he just needed to play smart football, and he did that. Michael Penix, he was sort of hit and miss. Even though Pitts didn't have gargantuan stance, I was glad that they were utilizing him more. Kyle Pitts so far has had a disappointing career. You'd think for someone who has his physical attributes, who's 6'6", he just hasn't thrust himself into the conversation for top tight ends yet. You look at Tyler Warren as a rookie, he's balling out. Even though Brock Bowers has had injuries this year, he had a phenomenal rookie year, and he's looking like the real deal. And I don't know, it just seems like Kyle Pitts just doesn't have it when it comes to being one of the top tight ends. But even though he only had 7 receptions for 60 yards or something, they were still utilizing him. So I mean, that's certainly progress at the very least. Atlanta, they had a shot to win it or at least make it interesting. They went for it on 4th and 1 with like 8 minutes and 20 seconds left in the game. They're down 13-10 at San Francisco's 35-yard line. I didn't mind them going for it on 4th and 1 because A, it's 1 yard. B, it would have been like a 53, 54-yard field goal. Those aren't always guaranteed, even though kickers can absolutely hit them. I don't know how good Atlanta's kicker is, but I don't mind them for just being aggressive and just wanting to go for it. And obviously, they couldn't get it. San Francisco comes down. They get a touchdown. It's 2010, and that was pretty much all she wrote. And Michael Penix, he definitely had his ups and downs this game. He definitely has a heater of an arm. I got to give him credit for that. And he bounced back, after that debacle against Carolina, and he played really well against Washington. This is just a game where, he had kind of a down game, and hopefully the next two games, I believe, are against New England, the Colts. Oh, yeah, he also has Miami also. Those are going to be the next three games. I think Miami is first. I think he should be able to bounce back, and I'm really interested to see how he does against those teams. Miami's a bad team, but New England and the Colts are pretty good, so hopefully he can bounce back and he can play better, but he's in his second year, and sometimes quarterbacks' growth isn't always linear, and sometimes it takes more time for other quarterbacks to grow than others. There's very rarely where there's a Jaden Daniels and he just balls out his rookie year. San Francisco, on the other hand, they're legit 5-2 despite Brock missing a few games. Ricky Pearsall, it looks like he should come back, and once he comes back, the offense should look more explosive, especially when George Kittle is able to get his legs underneath him. Even though it's a pretty easy schedule for San Francisco, the fact that they're 5-2 with a litany of injuries is pretty damn good because not a lot of teams can be 5-2 when you have a bunch of injuries like they have, especially losing their two best defensive players in Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, and not having like our offensive threats on the perimeter, and using a backup quarterback in Mac Jones, who is pretty good and should be a starter in the league. So I think San Francisco is going to continue to get better and better as long as no one else on their team goes via injury. And Seattle, they got to win. They got to win if they want to have a chance of making the playoffs, because nobody's going to let up in this division really as much. Everyone will have a little down game here and there, but you got to be on your toes and you got to win the games that you need to win. Now I want to talk about the Colts and Chargers. The Chargers, excuse me, I don't know why I keep getting this mixed up. The Colts won 38-24, and the Colts are for real. I said before that this was an important game for them. I know that the Chargers have like a litany of injuries on their offensive line, with like Joe Alt and Trey Pipkins being out, and also losing their top two running backs, and Amarian Hampton and Najee Harris, but still, Justin Herbert is a phenomenal quarterback, and this is a game that the Colts needed to win, and they absolutely did not just win this game. They put one on the Los Angeles Chargers. Jonathan Taylor, he certainly should be in the MVP conversation. I saw a tweet from Richard Sherman earlier today that if this was the early 2000s, Jonathan Taylor would absolutely be in the MVP conversation, but especially with the stats quarterbacks are having nowadays and them being able to air the ball out like they are in this generation, it's just very hard for a non-QB to win the MVP unless you have like an historic possession. An historic like season. And I guess maybe if Jonathan Taylor rushes for 2,000 yards, maybe he can win the MVP, but I don't know. I doubt it. I think it'll probably still go to a quarterback. And I'm a believer in the Colts. I don't know about them in the postseason, but I'm a believer in them in the regular season for sure. I think Daniel Jones is going to continue to play well. He has the support that he needs, and Shane Steichen, the head coach, is certainly just making things easier for him, just having a good running game and just having talent on the perimeter. And I don't have a doubt in my mind that Indianapolis is going to win this division. The Jaguars, they had a tough one against the Rams. I was dead wrong about that game. I thought the Jaguars would be better after kind of having a tough loss against Seattle, but they had a tougher loss against the Rams, and they just got the hell beaten out of them. Matthew Stafford had a field day against them, throwing for 5 touchdowns. So Indianapolis is going to win this division. They're probably going to be, I imagine, the 1 or the 2 seed unless they fall off a cliff. I think that's pretty safe to say, and we'll see how they do in the playoffs after that. I'm still not a believer in Daniel Jones in the playoffs. I mean, we all saw what happened with Minnesota last year where Sam Darnold was just balling out, and then in the playoffs, he didn't exactly perform up to his standards, and also in that regular season finale against Detroit. So I'm still a little bit weary of Daniel Jones in the playoffs, but in the regular season, I'm a believer. Chargers, on the other hand, they got to get it together. I talked about not having an O line and having the running backs injured, and I have no idea if those guys are going to come back. I have no idea if Joe Alt or Trey Pipkins is going to come back. I thought Joe Alt would come back, but it just doesn't look like he's going to come back anytime soon. And until someone from his camp or the head coach says he's absolutely 100% ready to play and he's ready to go, I'll see it when I believe it. The Chargers have a little bit of a tough schedule. They got Minnesota on Thursday night. They got Tennessee. They got Pittsburgh. And other than Tennessee, those games aren't exactly easy. Pittsburgh, even though they're not exactly world beaters, and they got their asses kicked against the Bengals, still a Mike Tomlin team, and he still prepares his teams for the most part very, very well. So they have to go 2-1, and with Denver and Kansas City rising in the rankings, it just looks like the Chargers are going in the opposite direction, and if they want to get their season together, they have to go 2-1 during that stretch. And Jesse Minter's defense has just been disappointing. It just seems after the Denver game in Week 3, the Chargers have just forgotten how to play defense, and it just seems like they've lost the plot. I mean, they gave up 26, 27 points to Tua. They gave up 38 against the Colts, who, albeit, are a very, very good team, but still, come on, your defense has to be better than that. And then they gave up 27 to Washington when Jaden Daniels didn't have his top 2 wide receivers. And offensively against Dallas, they kind of looked like a JV team even before Jaden Daniels went out. So it just seems like they can't stop the bleeding, and I don't know if their defense is going to get any better or not. I hope they're able to turn it around because I really like this team. I really like Herbert. I want him to do well in the playoffs and just get that monkey off his back. But I just don't know if this is the season that it's going to happen. So if in that 3-game stretch they don't do well, they have a shot of missing the playoffs. And I think the Patriots can very well easily take their spot for sure. No doubt about it. One more game I want to talk about is Green Bay and Arizona. Green Bay won 27-23. And one thing I have to say about the Arizona Cardinals, I'm not trying to be hot takey, is whether or not the offense looks more operational with Jacoby Brissett than Kyler Murray. At least they're more on schedule, it looks like, with Jacoby Brissett. Obviously, Kyler is the more talented and better player, but Kyler Murray is just an athletic freak who likes to make things happen, kind of like Russell Wilson in his prime. But with Jacoby Brissett, he can just stand in the pocket and just make plays. And Kyler Murray is 5'10", and Jacoby Brissett has 4, 5, 6 inches on him, so it's just easier for him to make certain throws than it would be for Kyler Murray. But don't get it twisted, Kyler Murray is certainly the better player, and it's kind of with Geno and Russ, where Russ was the better player than Geno, but the Seahawks offense, it just looked more efficient offensively. It's just that Russ was able to make the big plays that Geno wasn't able to, and that's kind of what it is in Arizona. But Green Bay, they're looking a bit fraudulent. I'm really not that impressed with them in the past few weeks. After the first 2 weeks, I thought that they were going to be Super Bowl contenders. I anointed them that after the way they beat the hell out of Detroit. They beat the hell out of Washington. I was thinking, okay, Jordan Love, he's going to become an MVP level player. They have a litany of talent at the wide receiver spot, but I don't know. They just haven't been able to get it together. That defense with Micah, you'd think they would go up a notch. They just haven't been able to just go up a level. Jordan Love was solid, 19 for 29 for 172 yards. Made some clutch plays at the end, especially to Tucker Kraft, who it looks like that's his security blanket. Other than that, he's just been okay. I don't think that Green Bay has had enough convincing wins. And that vaunted Green Bay defense, like I've said, hasn't really impressed me so far. And maybe Green Bay can turn it around in the second half of the season offensively and defensively. But I'm not sure. Just against Cincinnati and Arizona so far, especially coming off of the bye week, I thought that they would come out more on fire, and they just have not done that as of late. So, Green Bay, I'm going to look out for them for the next 4 or 5 games. Hopefully, they can turn it around, but if not, then I don't know. Green Bay, it may look like they might be able to win a playoff game, but they won't go any farther than that. And yeah, that's all I have for you guys. I wanted to talk about Bucks and Buccaneer. Excuse me. What the fuck am I saying? Bucks and Lions and Seattle and Houston, but we just had a crazy NFL Sunday that I didn't get the time to talk about them today. Although what I will say about Bucks and Lions is Detroit's secondary is out, and Baker Mayfield has a chance to feast over that secondary. I don't know. I don't know if Mike Evans or Mika Egbuka is going to come back. Egbuka looks like he's going to be a game time decision with his hamstring, but nonetheless, he's throwing to guys like Tez Johnson and Cameron Johnson, and this is a chance for Baker Mayfield to further cement. I guess cement is the wrong word because we're only in week 7, but he has a further chance to like solidify his case as of now for being the league MVP, especially when Stafford had a heater in London where he threw for 5 touchdowns. And yeah, this is a game that absolutely matters, and we'll see what the Bucs do. I'm predicting that the Bucs are probably gonna win, especially with that secondary being banged up. But I wouldn't rule out Detroit quite yet. They certainly have a shot of winning that game. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you guys. I'm gonna be back Friday. I got some things to take care of, but I will be back Friday. I'm gonna talk a little bit about NBA. The NBA is gonna be back tomorrow. Excited about that. Opening game is gonna be Houston and OKC. Excited to see how in the first week how Kevin Durant looks with the Houston Rockets, especially now with Fred VanVleet going out and them having like a super big lineup, how that's going to look. OKC, I'm sure they're going to look good. The Warriors, how they're going to look with adding Al Horford, and the Lakers, how they look with Luka being the complete ball dominant player on offense. Not that he wasn't going to be that with LeBron being there, but still, now it's like all the load is on him pretty much, and a little bit on Austin Reeves, and interested to see how they look without LeBron James as he's recovering from his sciatica injury. And yeah, that's about all I have. Thank you so much for listening. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you guys on Friday.